before I get started, there's a couple of clarifications. I'm not an architect, okay? I wear bow ties on Wednesdays. I'm not an architect. There is no such thing as a perfectly good airplane. Remember, that thing was provided by the lowest bidder. And if you're doing your job right, when you get to the ground, they don't continue to shoot back at you. So, those are things to keep in mind. And there is one thing that I will agree with you on. The job, the position, and what we do is important and should be taken seriously. But we as individuals should not. You should maintain a little bit of a check on your ego when you're at the door, because I can see where just the short time that I've been here that it would be real easy to get real full of yourself, and I'm determined not to let that happen. Now, what I would like to do, a little bit different than Representative Harold did, just talk to you about some of the stuff that's going on, and then let you ask some questions, if that's all right. I know y'all got things you want to do, places you got to be, but what I don't want to do is sit here and talk to you for 10 minutes and go, he didn't cover anything that's of interest to us. So if that's okay. This is going to be really a fairly light session for issues that affect the industry. One of the things that we are looking at for a little bit longer term is we understand that there is a absence of quality skilled workers in the workforce right now, which is a somewhat nice position to have, considering what 4 years ago, the issue was we were having to let too many people go. That there wasn't enough work to go around, and that's part of the problem now. Some of the people that we had in the industry when we went through the downturn went and got into a new industry, and they're not coming back. The other part of that is there's not a big push for it at the high school level. Some of you people with, if I had hair, your hair would look like mine, a little bit of gray in there. Can remember when you were younger, you were in high school, you could actually work at a construction site during the summer, earn a living, pay for your gas, pay for your dates on Friday night, and learn a skill. And then often that got you interested in the industry that you chose to have your career. With some of the OSHA regulations at the federal level, it's a little harder to do that now. But it's not impossible. If you have an apprenticeship program, you can work around the age limits a little bit. And we're a little bit behind parts of the nation and really most of the rest of the world, and having a dedicated, established apprenticeship program is coming. It's coming. And we think that's important. We think that'll help the industry. The other part is, for years and years and years, the only way to be considered successful coming out of high school was if you went to university. That's not the right choice for everybody. And I'm not going to say that, when I say that, don't take me wrong. I'm not saying that some of you are smarter and some of you are dumber, so the smart ones are the only ones that get to go. That's not a fair assessment. There are some very bright kids who have no desire or interest to go to a traditional four-year institution. But fortunately, in the state of Georgia, we have two great forms of higher education in the state. The technical college system in Georgia is phenomenal. So at the high school level, and that was one of the bills that we talked about that I carried last year, was we'll call it the New and Improved Move On and Ready Act, to get kids who want that education, who want to get on with their career, who want to start their lives, but don't want to sit in a traditional high school classroom, the ability to move, the ability to get the certifications they want through the technical system, the ability to go ahead and start working on their four-year degree at a traditional university. We gave them that opportunity, and we've got record enrollment so far. So that's a positive. And one of the things that we had to do was make sure that we didn't punish the high schools for the kid not being in the classroom seat, because that's what we were doing before. You could move on, you could go to college and do what you were going to do, but the high school that you were going to got the money taken away from them because you were going on doing what you're supposed to do. So if I'm a member of that school, if I'm on that administration, if I'm the counselor, am I going to encourage a kid to leave my institution to go someplace else when I know it's going to cost us money? No, nobody's going to do that. So we fixed part of that. The bottom line is phenomenal growth the first year before the program really got advertised. We anticipate that it's going to be huge And the major gainer in that, the university system will be a major gainer, but the real major gainer in that is going to be the technical college system. So here's where y'all come in. We can only legislate, incentivize, and encourage so much at the Gold Dome. I need the industry to start partnering with the schools, whether it be a career academy or the technical systems, and we will help incentivize the technical systems to get involved with the process as well. But I need y'all to partner with your local organizations to help generate the interest and the skills needed to promote our industry. That's part of it. That's part of being a leader in your community, is assessing the need, seeing some potential solutions, looking at the advantages that the state provides. And Georgia is very work-friendly. We strive to be the most work-friendly state in the nation, and you know, we've been recognized for the last 3 years. We want to keep that going. But in your individual communities, we need y'all. We need your help. So that's coming. Start thinking about how we can partner with the public institutions to create a better environment for all of us. So it's about this point that I'm going to turn it over, because I keep looking at my watch and I keep looking at y'all looking at your watches. So there's probably a couple questions that y'all are going to have. You're probably going to have some questions about drums. You're probably going to have some questions about medical marijuana. You're probably going to have some questions about gambling in Georgia. You're probably going to have some questions about RFRA, or religious freedom. It doesn't stand for RFRA. Sorry, we get used to the abbreviations here. So I'm going to open it up. What are your questions?
You mentioned medical marijuana. My young leaders group, I think I mentioned the other day, actually worked with that family. We helped rebuild that house that was burned down in a terrible situation. You walked through some of the concerns that the business communities expressed with regard to the latest version of medical marijuana.
Yeah, talking about, you know, the challenges you face as a legislator. These kids that are suffering from the seizures, the CBD oil. If you don't want to say you're passing marijuana legislation, you say we're passing CBD legislation, cannabidiol. It's the same thing, but it just makes you feel better about where you're standing. But it has proven to have some positive effect on some of the kids that have seizures. So you look at that and say, I can't, with good conscience, prevent them from having a better quality of life, living to their utmost potential, because marijuana is a Schedule I narcotic. Now, I'm going to pull this out real quick. Do y'all understand Schedule I narcotic? It's a rhetorical question. I'm going to answer it anyway. The other drugs that are Schedule I narcotics: heroin, LSD, ecstasy, marijuana. Schedule II narcotics, or, I can't believe I've gotten older here. Cocaine, meth, oxycodone, and then you got Adderall and Ritalin in there too. The difference between the two is Schedule II has been proven to have some medicinal value by the federal government. That you can research it, you can study it, you can patent aspects of it, you can prescribe it. Doctors are not punished if they prescribe it. Schedule I, you cannot. So when you hear states are legalizing marijuana, they are not. States can't legalize a federal law. What the states are doing, and just be clear, it sounds better to say we're legalizing it. What they're not, what we're doing is saying we are not going to enforce the federal laws that are on the books. We're going to turn our eye to that. So that's the box that I'm in. I want to be able to help these kids. I want to do the right thing for them. But I'm not comfortable being in a society where we just arbitrarily start ignoring laws. Where's that stop? So I've talked to 4 of the members of our congressional delegation to say, dude, just make it a Schedule II narcotic. Help us help the citizens of our state legally. Before we start going through, there's one other way we can do it. It's called the nullification process. We don't want to do that. We'd rather, at the federal level, we have one set of laws that applies to the entire nation that we can operate under. So we'll see what's it. But until that happens, even with the CBD law that we have right now, you have a construction site. Unfortunately, every once in a while, you'll have an accident on a construction site. You know, hopefully it's something minor. But if y'all's company is like ours, after you treat the injury, one of the first things you do is test them. Now, with the new measure that talking about going through this time, chronic pain is one of the ailments that you can be prescribed marijuana oil for. Dude, anybody over 45 has got chronic pain. I'm on the job site. I hit myself. I go to the hospital. Now, am I showing up hot on a urinalysis because of my CBD oil? Or because we partied hard last night? What's that going to do to my insurance? How is that going to affect the entire industry? So we got some issues that we got to work out. So, you know, before we jump on a bandwagon and move forward real quickly with this great panacea, let's make sure that we consider all the consequences that the ripple effect that piece of legislation is going to have. And so the last thing I'm going to touch on real quick, because we get it at the state level a lot, and it's not a state issue, but we're going to address it anyway. It's a federal issue. It's the drones. To be a licensed pilot, to fly a drone over your project seems silly to me. You know, put some parameters in there with how big the thing can be, what are you going to use it for, where are you going to fly it. You know, follow the rules that we have with the rest of the industry. We're not shy about making up rules that impact our industry. Put some guidelines in there. But, you know, if you want to do, the only people that are going to be really mad about this, the helicopter guys and the plane guys that take job site photos, they don't want you to do this. But if I'm with one of your projects and about 40 stories up, I need to check something on the outside of the shell. I can either hang a guy over the edge, or I can fly a drone up with a camera and look at it. I'd rather fly the drone up. So there's some issues that we're going to have to work with our brothers in Washington about. Sorry. It was a habit thing right there. I'm not used to people standing behind me. Especially when this gentleman was like checking you and then checking back at me. I thought you were sneaking up on. So we got some issues we got to work out. Yes, sir.
Good morning. My name is Mike. I'm with the Intelligent Transportation Society of Florida. We promote investment in technology to better manage traffic congestion. And I want to know what the legislature's position is on implementing autonomous vehicles.
You've got, who introduced that last year? It was, I think it was Senator Beach. It may have been, don't hold me to that, but I think it was Senator Beach. No, it was Senator McCoon who introduced it. It's coming. I mean, you can look at where I think there's been 6 accidents in California with the autonomous vehicles, and in every case it's been a human-driven vehicle has run into it, and that's because that autonomous one is actually following the laws. Crazy. So it'll be a little slower in Georgia because I have not seen an autonomous truck yet, and when we get autonomous trucks, no, it's coming. And you'll have autonomous Uber. You know, the face of transportation that our kids will see will be significantly different than what we have seen. You know, you've seen the little strip on the highway with the. For those of you that have smartphones, you can just lay them on a pad. You don't have to plug them in and charge through the system. Now they're kind of doing strips like that on the roads. So with the battery packs on the electric vehicles, so as it's running over the strip, it recharges the cars and move. That will change the industry. So you know, Star Trek kind of universe in the near future, nearer than what we anticipate. I think we'll have electric vehicles that are autonomous, that recharge while en route, that use solar energy, and everybody's happy. But yeah, it's coming. Any other questions? If not, I'm not going to force questions here. I'll go to work. So no other. I'm afraid of what he's going to say after I heard his introduction.
One last question. What can we do as
appreciate that. The energy and interest from everybody on particular issues seems to start on day one when we go into legislative cycle. It's too late. If it hits the floor and you want to state your position either for or against it, that's the appropriate time. But if you're wanting to develop legislation to impact the industry in a positive manner, you can't wait until the session starts. It is, that's the equivalent of that treadmill set where you're running 10 miles an hour and you want to hop on right at that point. It's going too fast then. So between sessions, talk with your legislator.